My name is Angelica Whitmore, 34 years old. The morning I drove Lucy to my parents' house felt like deja vu wrapped in denial. The same stretch of highway, the same kid songs on repeat, the same quiet ache under my ribs that whispered, "You know better." Still, I smiled through the rearview mirror at my daughter kicking her legs, sneakers tapping the seat rhythmically. She had counted down the days with bright purple markers, 6 little X's for Grandma Week. It had become tradition, 1 week every summer, where Lucy stayed with her grandparents and cousins while my husband and I worked, or, if I'm being honest, recovered from everything we didn't say the rest of the year. By the time we turned into my parents' circular driveway, the sun was a hard gold, glinting off luxury SUVs like stage lights. My sister Jenna stood by the fountain in a dress that could have been borrowed or stolen, waving a manicured hand at her kids, Aiden and Sophie, who were already shrieking through the sprinklers. Her husband Travis sat in a lounge chair, beer in hand, doing his best impression of management. Mom appeared on the porch, perfect as always. "There's my favorite girl," she called, arms wide. She meant Lucy, not me. I forced a smile. "Hey, Mom." She kissed Lucy's forehead. "You're getting so tall. Come, sweetheart, we baked cookies." Jenna smirked. "You actually came, Angelica?" "It's Grandma Week," I said simply. "Given the circumstances," she murmured, "I thought you'd have the sense to skip it." "What circumstances?" Jenna's sunglasses flashed. "You can barely afford the gas to get here. This place isn't cheap." I didn't answer. I just hugged Lucy a little tighter before letting her run toward the lawn, her laughter mixing with the hiss of water on grass. Dad hovered behind Mom, clipboard in hand, always a man auditing his own family. "Everything settled with your business?" he asked without looking at me. "Getting there," I said. He nodded absently. "That's good. Your mother's been talking about redoing the upstairs. The house should look presentable." Mom's smile sharpened. "For the will signing, of course. Family optics matter." I blinked. "Oh, what signing?" "Oh, nothing." She waved it off, but something in her eyes flickered. A secret rehearsed. Lucy ran back, hair dripping, face glowing. "Mommy, Grandma said I can stay up late." "Wow," I said softly. "Lucky you." It should have been a happy moment, but as I drove away, watching her small figure in the rearview mirror fade into the manicured perfection of that house, a chill brushed my chest. Something about the way Mom stood there, arms crossed now, eyes distant, felt rehearsed too. That night, everything sounded normal. When I called, Mom answered on speaker, her voice bright with practiced warmth. "She's right here." "Hi, Mommy," Lucy said, breathless. "We made cookies." "Good, baby," I said, smiling even though something inside me tugged. "Be good for Grandma." "Okay." I hung up feeling foolish for worrying. The next day, no one answered. I called 3 times before dinner, then again after. Straight to voicemail. I told myself they were busy, baking, maybe swimming, maybe watching movies. But by the 3rd unanswered call, my chest was tight enough to make breathing work. Then I saw the photos. They flooded my feed like a punchline. Mom, Dad, Jenna, Travis, and the cousins, laughing on a white yacht under an endless blue sky. Caption: family trip. Finally, some time together. Family trip. I scrolled through every photo, slower each time, like Lucy might appear, if I looked carefully enough. But she wasn't there, not even a shadow of her pink swimsuit. My fingers were cold when I called Mom. She answered cheerfully. "Hi, honey. How's your trip?" "Where's Lucy?" "At the house, dear." "At your house?" "Yes, we couldn't bring everyone. There wasn't room in the car." "You left her there?" "Oh, don't sound so horrified," she sighed. "We asked the neighbor to check in." "What neighbor?" "The one with the dog." "They all have dogs, Mom." "She's fine, Angelica. You always overreact." I hung up. My husband looked up from his laptop. "Everything okay?" "No," I said. "They left her." "Left who?" "Lucy." He froze. "At the house? Alone?" "Yes." He stood up so fast the chair hit the wall. "You're joking." "I wish I was." He grabbed his keys. "Call someone, anyone." "I'm calling Grandma." Grandma answered on the first ring. "Sweetheart?" Mom and Dad went on vacation. They left Lucy alone. Silence. Then her voice, sharp as glass. "What do you mean, alone?" "At their house. They said a neighbor's checking in. I think it's a lie." "I'm leaving right now," she said, breathless. "Stay on the line if you can." I did. 20 of the longest minutes of my life. Then her voice came back, breaking. "I'm here. I found her." "Is she okay?" "She's scared," Grandma said, voice trembling. "She's been eating crisps and crackers. The lights are all on. She said she didn't want the dark to come back." My throat closed. "Thank you." I'll stay with her until you get here. The next morning, we were on the first flight home. Every minute in the air was a punishment. When we reached the house, Grandma met us at the door. Lucy sat on the couch wearing one of Grandma's sweaters, small and silent. When she saw me, she ran so fast I barely caught her. "Mommy," she whispered. "You're safe now," I said, holding her tighter than ever. Grandma's face was pale, her voice steady. They left her a note. On the table, "Be good. There's food in the fridge." It looked like something left for a cat, not a child. The kitchen was chaos. Crumbs, empty wrappers, sticky trails of juice. On the counter, Lucy's drawing pad lay open. A single page, a small stick figure in a house colored entirely yellow. "I left the lights on so you'd find me," she whispered later, half asleep. I sat by her side, staring at the ceiling crack that had grown wider since my own childhood nights there. Grandma placed a hand on my shoulder. "You always believed they'd change," she said quietly. "Now you know." That night, after Lucy fell asleep, I went to the fridge. It was humming, steady, familiar, the same sound that once kept me company as a forgotten child. Inside were containers, neatly labeled with dates for the whole week, Monday through Sunday. They hadn't forgotten her. They had planned to leave her. The air left my lungs like I'd been punched. If they could plan this, what else had they planned? When I woke up that morning, sunlight was bleeding through the curtains, warm but hollow. Lucy was curled beside me, her hand still clutching the corner of my shirt like a lifeline. My husband was already up, pacing by the window, jaw locked. "They planned it," he said quietly, holding one of the fridge containers. "They labeled everything. They meant to leave her here for the week." I nodded. "I know." His voice cracked. "Who does that?" "People who love control more than children," I thought. But I didn't say it. Grandma sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand. "We're reporting this," she said. "Today." The police station was 10 minutes away, but the drive felt endless. My husband kept gripping the steering wheel like it could anchor him. When we arrived, the officer on duty listened, his expression tightening with every sentence. "So she was alone how long?" he asked. "Half a day," I said, "but they plan to leave her for a week." He wrote slowly, deliberately. "That's child endangerment." He took the note, photographed it, then looked at me. "Do you want to remain anonymous?" "No," I said. "They need to know it was me." When we stepped back outside, the sky looked too blue, the air too clean for what had just happened. Grandma exhaled deeply. "There's something else," she said, voice trembling slightly. "I looked through their office. There's paperwork about the house. Your mother mentioned a trust signing soon." "Yeah," I said. "Yesterday she called it family optics." She wasn't lying. Grandma handed me a crumpled folder. She was finalizing a transfer, putting your sister's name on the trust deed. It felt like déjà vu in the worst way. Jenna always got the spotlight, the trophies, the praise, now the house. Except this time, it wasn't just favoritism. It was a reward for negligence. That evening, my phone rang. Mom's name glowed on the screen. I put her on speaker. "What did you do?" she snapped before I could speak. "I filed a police report." "What police report?" "For abandonment." There was a rustle, then Jenna's voice cut in, sharp and trembling. "Don't lie, Angelica. We're not talking about that." "I'm not lying." "You've destroyed this family," she hissed. "No," I said. "You did that when you left a 6-year-old alone with a fridge." Mom's voice quivered. "You've always been jealous, Angelica, of your sister, of our home." "Of what, Mom?" I asked. "Your parenting? Jenna's trophies?" She inhaled sharply. "You're pathetic." "Tell that to the police." The line went dead. The silence afterward was louder than the shouting had been. My phone buzzed again. Grandma this time. "I expected that call," she said. "They just left my house, screaming, accusing me of betrayal. They think I made you change the trust." "I did change it," Grandma said calmly, "because I've spent 78 years cleaning up other people's messes. This time, I wanted to prevent one." "You changed the trust?" I whispered. "Yes. The big house is now yours. The others can rent like the rest of the world." "Grandma, they'll say you're confused." "Then they've forgotten who raised them. I'm not confused. I'm furious." I laughed through tears. "They're going to call it elder abuse." "Let them," she said. "At least it'll be creative." I sank into a chair, numb. "Why give it to me?" "Because I can't leave that roof to people who thought it was fit for a child to be alone under. You don't owe me thanks. Just promise me one thing." "What?" "Don't let them near Lucy again." "I promise." "Good, then we're done worrying." When I hung up, my hands were still trembling. The folder Grandma had given me lay open on the table. Signatures, dates, even a post-it with Travis's handwriting. Renovation plan, convert guest room, studio for marketing startup. He was planning to run his business from my parents' house. It wasn't about family, it was about control. That night, after Lucy fell asleep, I couldn't rest. The house creaked differently now, every sound suspicious. At midnight, my phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. No text, just a photo. It was Lucy, asleep on the couch. The same couch from that awful night. Same sweater. Same angle as Grandma's living room window. But the photo was taken from outside. My heart dropped. Someone else had been there. I zoomed in. The reflection in the glass showed faint lights behind the photographer. Headlights, maybe? A car parked on the street. The timestamp matched the night she was alone. I called Grandma immediately. Grandma, I whispered. Someone took a picture of Lucy that night. She inhaled sharply. What do you mean? I just got it. It's from outside the window. Silence. Then, in that same steady tone she used when the world was falling apart, send it to me. I did. After a few seconds, she spoke again. That's not the neighbor's car. Then whose? I don't know, she said, her voice low. But whoever it was, they were close enough to watch and didn't help. I felt something icy crawl up my spine. They planned to leave her, I said, but maybe they didn't plan to be the only ones watching. The house around me felt smaller, darker. I turned on every light. Lucy stirred in her sleep, whispering something I couldn't hear. I sat at the edge of her bed until sunrise, one thought looping through my head. If they planned this, and someone else was watching, what else haven't I seen? By Monday morning, the story had mutated into something grotesque. Not the truth, just its reflection, warped and shared like wildfire. It started with a call from my cousin in Ohio. I just wanted to check on you, she said in that syrupy tone reserved for funerals or gossip. Why? I asked, already dreading the answer. You haven't seen it? She didn't need to explain. My phone started vibrating nonstop. Notifications, screenshots, messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. There it was. Mom's long Facebook post. It's devastating when your own child betrays you. Some people will do anything for money. Pray for us during this difficult time. Below it, Jenna's echo. Family should be sacred, not transactional. I'll never understand cruelty, disguised as justice. And then Travis chiming in like a self-appointed prosecutor. Had elder abuse. My name was everywhere, tagged, debated, dissected. By noon, I was trending locally. I didn't know whether to laugh or throw up. Grandma called before I could dial her. People keep phoning me, she said. They're saying things about computers. I told them I don't do that nonsense. It's not nonsense, I said. Okay, maybe a little, but they're lying about you. I assumed as much, she said dryly. What are they saying now? That I made you change the will, that I manipulated you. There was a pause. Well, she said, that's creative, but I can still think, last I checked. Do you want to see what they're saying? She hesitated only a second. Might as well. I hate when people describe things badly. An hour later, I was back on the road to her small house, the one that always smelled of lemon oil and tea, the opposite of my parents' suffocating perfection. She met me at the door holding her glasses like a weapon. Write down my passwords, she ordered, in case this kills the computer. It's not going to kill anything, I said, setting up her laptop at the kitchen table. You don't know that. Her home was calm, sunlight spilling through lace curtains, the kettle humming softly. It was the last place you'd expect a war to start. She leaned close to the screen, squinting. Good Lord, they used my wedding photo. Where did they even get that? Probably Aunt Carol's endless Facebook archive of family mistakes. She muttered, scrolling. Ah, here's Jenna, always wordy. And Travis. Well, at least he spelled manipulation right this time. I half smiled. Grandma! She lifted a hand, eyes narrowing. Enough fiction. Let's tell the truth. You don't owe them anything. I owe myself a good night's sleep, she said. Show me where to type. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she began to write, each keystroke deliberate, like hammering nails into a coffin. I changed my will and my revocable living trust. I did it because my daughter and her husband left their 6-year-old granddaughter alone in the house I own while they went on vacation. I found the child myself that evening. No one tricked me. I'm not confused. I'm angry, and I'm done. The big house will go to Angelica, who remembers what family means. The others can find another roof. She hit post. Then she closed the laptop gently, poured herself tea, and said, There, now they can chew on that. The internet reacted instantly. Within minutes, her post had hundreds of shares. People who hadn't spoken to us in a decade were suddenly messaging me, some with pity, others with praise. "Your grandma's a legend," one wrote. Mom deleted her post. Jenna locked her profile. Travis tried to argue in the comments and got eaten alive by strangers within hours. Grandma watched it all unfold with the serene satisfaction of someone who'd seen too many battles to flinch. "They always forget," she said, sipping her tea. "I raised half this town." For the first time in weeks, I laughed. A real laugh, the kind that hurt in the ribs. But beneath it all, something darker simmered. When I went to take out the trash that night, I saw a car parked across the street, a dark sedan, lights off. The same shape as the one reflected in that mysterious photo. When I looked again, it was gone. The next day, a letter arrived. Heavy envelope, formal seal. Grandma's name typed neatly on the front. Inside, a legal notice of injunction. Travis's lawyer, naturally. It accused Grandma of undue influence, coercion, and financial manipulation under my direction. It even quoted lines from their deleted posts. I handed it to her, jaw tight. "They're suing you." "Of course they are," she said mildly, buttering her toast. "He's been waiting for this. He thinks a letter will scare me." "It's not just a letter. They want to freeze the transfer." She shrugged. "Then we'll do it properly." I frowned. "Properly?" "I still have the original trust draft," she said. "The one with the morals clause." "The what?" She looked up at me, eyes sharp. "Your grandfather wrote it. If any beneficiary endangers a child in that house, their inheritance is revoked. Instantly." I blinked. "That's real?" "Oh yes, your mother hated it." I almost smiled. Of course she did. She took a slow sip of tea. "Now it's useful again." Outside, the wind rattled the porch chimes like nervous laughter. For a moment, I thought about Jenna, about how her life had once revolved around applause, then dissolved when it stopped. She wasn't just cruel, she was lost. Maybe Travis had seen that and moved in like a vulture. Still, pity only went so far. That evening, Grandma's lawyer filed a counter motion, attaching police reports, photographs, and, most damning of all, the time-stamped image of Lucy alone in the house. We still didn't know who took it, but it placed the event beyond denial. The next morning, the court scheduled a hearing. Travis went silent online. Jenna posted a cryptic quote about forgiveness. Mom shared a Bible verse about honoring thy mother and father without irony. Grandma just smiled when I told her. "They don't realize it yet," she said, "but this is the first time I've had peace in years." She reached across the table, took my hand. "You know, I used to think silence kept the peace. Turns out it just gives bullies better acoustics." I squeezed her hand. "You're not afraid?" "I outlived their approval," she said simply. "Fear's a luxury I gave up." Outside, the sky cracked open with thunder, the first real storm of summer. "Looks like the weather's catching up," Grandma murmured. We watched the rain blur the window, both of us knowing the next day wouldn't just be about money or property. It would be about truth, finally spoken out loud. The hearing date was set, and this time there would be no room in the car for lies. The courthouse smelled faintly of old paper and disinfectant, like every argument ever made had been bleached into the walls. Grandma sat beside me in her navy cardigan, posture straight, eyes sharp as if she were about to grade everyone in the room. Across the aisle sat Mom, Jenna, and Travis. My father was there too, though his eyes never left the floor. The judge skimmed the reports with deliberate calm. "We are here to determine whether the amendment to the Whitmore Trust was made under duress." Travis's lawyer started with his rehearsed sympathy. "Your Honor, we're not disputing Ms. Whitmore's capacity. We're disputing the influence of her granddaughter, Angelica. Grandma cleared her throat so loudly it cut him off. "I changed my will because my daughter and her husband left their 6-year-old granddaughter alone in my home while they went on vacation." The judge glanced up. "You stand by that statement?" "I do. I found her myself. Lights on, crying, eating crackers for dinner. There's a police report to prove it." The lawyer sputtered. "But ma'am, emotions can't—" "Emotions didn't write that note," Grandma interrupted, sliding the paper across the table. "Be good. There's food in the fridge." Even the judge's expression hardened. "Duly noted." He flipped to another page. "There's mention here of a morals clause in the original trust?" Grandma nodded. "My late husband believed property came with responsibility. Anyone endangering a child in that home forfeits their right to it." Travis shifted in his chair, jaw tight. The officer from the welfare department was called next. He confirmed every detail: Lucy's age, the note, the containers labeled for the week. He paused before reading his summary aloud. "Based on the evidence, this incident constitutes neglect and endangerment." though the child was recovered unharmed. Mom flinched as if the words themselves hit her. Then the photo appeared on the screen, the one taken from outside the window. The room fell silent. This was submitted anonymously to our investigation, the officer said. It confirmed the time of the event. Mom whispered something to Jenna. Travis stared ahead, calculating damage. The judge looked unimpressed. Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore, he said to my parents, do you wish to contest the morals clause, knowing these facts? Dad hesitated. We made a mistake, he muttered. We thought... Enough, the judge said. You thought wrong. When he finalized his ruling, it was almost anticlimactic. The amendment stood. The injunction was dismissed. The house was officially transferred to Grandma's chosen heir, to me. Outside the courthouse, sunlight cut through the gray like relief itself. Grandma breathed in deeply. That's that, she said. Now maybe they'll learn humility. Do you think they will? I asked. She gave a short, knowing laugh. No, but at least they'll have to pay rent while pretending. The following months blurred into paperwork and silence. Mom, Dad, Jenna, and Travis moved out of the big house after their 30 days were up. They rented a duplex near the highway, half the size, twice the noise. The local paper ran a small piece about the investigation. Couple charged with child endangerment in family neglect case. No jail time, just probation, a fine, and mandatory parenting classes. Still, their reputation, once polished to a shine, crumbled overnight. Even their church stopped asking them to host charity galas. Travis lost 2 clients. Jenna deleted her social media. My father stopped showing up at Rotary meetings. And Mom, for the first time in her life, didn't have an audience. Once she called from an unknown number. I didn't answer. Instead, I saved the voicemail. Her voice was soft, trembling. We didn't mean for it to go that far. That far, as if neglecting a child had a safe distance. Weeks later, Jenna showed up at Grandma's door with a bouquet of carnations, cheap, already wilting. She didn't knock right away, just stood there in sunglasses, trembling slightly. Grandma watched from the window and didn't open it. You don't apologize with carnations, she told me later. That's like saying sorry with a parking ticket. The flowers sat on the step until the wind scattered them. When I asked Grandma if she felt bad, she shook her head. Pity is what got them here. By autumn, life began to shrink back into something quiet, something livable. Lucy was back in school, thriving. She'd joined the art club and spent every evening sketching the world she wanted. Houses full of light, people holding hands, no locked doors. We visited Grandma every Sunday. She'd always wave from the porch before we even parked, as if she'd been waiting at the window the whole time. Her house felt like peace itself. Tea, crossword puzzles, Lucy's laughter echoing down the hall. One evening, as we packed up to leave, I asked, "Do you ever miss them?" She stirred her tea slowly. I miss who they could have been, but that's not the same thing. Outside, the first snowflakes began to fall. They called again last week, she added. I let it go to voicemail. What if they show up? I'll call the police, she said simply. Then she smiled. Or the newspaper. They like updates. I laughed, shaking my head. You really don't scare easily. Not anymore, she said. I already outlived their approval. That line stuck with me. For years, I'd tried to earn their love by being the calm one, the good one, the reliable one. But maybe goodness without boundaries isn't virtue, it's surrender. As we got in the car, Lucy hugged Grandma tight. You're brave, she said. Grandma winked. Don't tell anyone. It ruins my reputation. The drive home was quiet except for Lucy's soft humming. In the rearview mirror, I caught her reflection, smiling faintly, peaceful in a way I hadn't seen in months. At home, after tucking her in, I scrolled through Grandma's old post one last time. It was still there, pinned to the top of her profile, a scar turned badge of honor. One comment caught my eye. Sometimes the loudest families get quiet when someone finally tells the truth. Maybe that was us. 6 months later, the noise was gone, the fear gone with it. Our world was smaller now, but honest. Grandma's porch light still glowed every evening, a promise visible from the road. Lucy and I were planning a spring trip with her. Somewhere sunny, somewhere simple. Lucy had already packed 3 books and a bathing suit. Grandma said she'd bring crossword puzzles and sunscreen for the pale ones. As I zipped the suitcase shut, I realized this was what peace felt like. Not silence, not victory, but steady, quiet honesty. For once, I didn't feel like the forgotten child or the responsible one. I just felt free. And maybe that was the real inheritance all along.